We are going to continue the previous example, and we are going to add a new statement called else if statement. So this new statement is both an else statement and an if statement. So the else statement tells us that it will run if a previous statement is false, and the if statement tells us that we have the opportunity to have a new condition. So we can have more than one conditions in one if statement. In this example, we can see that we are checking whether x is larger than 0, which means that we are checking if x contains a positive number. Now, if x is not larger than 0, we know that it is either 0 or a negative number. But what if we want to know for sure if it is a negative number? This if statement doesn't tell us that. So in order to be sure that x contains a negative number, we need another check. And that check or condition will check to see if x is smaller than 0. So in this else statement, we will add the word if. And the if statement has a condition. And in this condition, we will check if x is smaller than 0. If this condition is true, then we know that x contains a negative number. And we can print this in the code. And we will add the text x is negative. So now we have two checks. If the first one fails, or if it is false, then the code will come down to the else if statement and look at this condition. If this is true, if this condition is true, this code will run. If it is false, this code will not run, and we have the chance to add an else statement without an if statement so that we can give some feedback to the user by typing or printing some information to the screen. And here we can write x is 0, because this is the only option that is left here. If x is not larger than 0, and if x is not smaller than 0, that means that x is 0. So if I run the code, we will see that it is the else if statement that is true, and we get that printout. X is negative. If I change the value of x to 0, then both these statements will be false, because x is not larger than 0 and x is not smaller than 0. That means that the else statement will run, and the printout is x is 0.